Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Okay, right. So that was a nice warm up for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, as you can see, right, I'm a confidence. Basically, I'm confidence get your groove back coach, and I deal mainly in personal development. And I'll give you a very, very small background in why I am a confidence coach. First of all, I have got a slight disability. I'm partially deaf, right? So I don't know if you can see from looking at me now. I look, go backwards, you can see I've got the two hearing aids in, right? So when I was younger, I didn't really have a lot of confidence, right? For obvious reasons. And especially when it comes to going through teenage years and meeting boys, you know, me being partially deaf, it's like, well, you know, I can't do that, you know, it's not going to happen, right? So it's nothing to do with the exterior. Mine was like a hidden disability that no one knew about. When I do wear my hearing aids, I actually sometimes have people that come up to me who are actually deaf and they start signing, you know, and I couldn't sign not one word before. It wasn't until probably when I was in my, I would say, my 30s, when I decided to go and take a sign language course, right? So I've done my level 1 and I've done my level 2, right? So I'm not very, still very fluent. It's one of those things where if you learn a language, like you learn language at school, right? French, German or whatever, as soon as you've left school, unless you're actually keeping up with that language, you tend to lose it, don't you? Do you agree? Yeah? So I can sign, and I'm actually a lot more fluent when I am actually in conversation with some of my friends who are actually deaf or partially hearing. So it takes me a while to sort of get into the flow. It's a bit like when we are sitting at home or engaging in a conversation with family and friends that know us for a long, long time, and being of Caribbean background, you get into the lingo and start talking patois, you know, and all that sort of thing, or whatever language you are, you start going back into that language, yeah? So that's basically what it is. So that is why I am a confidence coach, right? Because basically I can talk from experience and talk from how I've gone from, well, being quite withdrawn and always the one in the background kind of thing, and let everybody, I'm just watching, a bit more like an observer, was an observer. And to be the person at the front, I mean, like standing up here now, right, that takes some confidence. For some people it's quite natural, right? I mean, I'm feeling quite all right here at the moment, right? It's nice, it's a small audience, and some nice looking people in the audience here as well today, right? So, a lot of singles as well, so don't forget what Des was saying. You can actually mingle, you know, you can mingle. If you have actually already spotted that person, don't let them slip away from you today, okay? Right, so I'm talking about using NLP to turn a negative, such as a breakup or a divorce, into a positive, right? Now, what I want you to do, just stand up, just for a second, right? There'll be no more than 30 seconds. Okay, now, if you have experienced a breakup or a divorce, don't need to say what, could you please sit down? Wow, look at that. Everyone, including me, breakups and divorce, that's me, right? So, straight away, in this room, everyone here has got something in common. We all have an experience in common. Right? So, when you're having a breakup, obviously, you take yourself back to that point when you really had that breakup or that divorce, right? It's really not a nice thing to go through for nobody, okay? You need to look back and think, how long did it take you to get over that breakup? Was it a couple of days and it was a writer's rain after? Did it take you weeks to get over? Months? A year? Are you still suffering from that breakup? does it sometimes come back into your mind when you're out there in public trying to, you know, get your groove back, so to speak, trying to get a date, but in the back of your mind you're thinking, I can see some traits from my ex-husband or ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, and you kind of like, what happens is that wall comes up and no one can literally get in, especially when you freshly just had a breakup, right? We put up those barriers. We even sometimes turn around and say to our girlfriends or our mates, the guys, that's it, had enough. No more men, no more women, whatever the case may be, right? You know, you really put up that barrier because you're sick and tired of going through the ups and downs of the relationship. Can anyone relate to that, yes? Right, so what we need to do, right, is if you're going through that breakup and you have experienced something really, really bad, what happens sometimes is that subconscious of what's happened to you in the past, especially if it's a case where, put your hand up if you have been on the receiving end of the breakup, where the person has said to you, you're better off without me. Yeah, me too. You're better off without me. You can do better than me. All that kind of thing. It's literally adding salt to the wound, isn't it? Because there you are, happy-go-lucky, in love with the one that you think you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and then they break up with you with the excuse, pathetic excuse, I call it, that you're better off without them. How dare they? The audacity of not only breaking up with you, but they're actually now trying to advise you, saying that you're better off without them. How do you work that one out? That is the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. So you not only have to deal with the breakup of being dumped, you have to deal with your emotions and everything as well. Where do you go from there? What happens now? Right? And some people, that experience could be so traumatic that they basically get very withdrawn and they don't bother to look on their external appearance. They start dressing down because they're fed up, you know. The tracky comes on for women, you know. Can't be bothered with the makeup. Why? It's got no one to impress. So, you know, why am I going to bother? You know, so you go through a period of that kind of don't care, you know, it's not going to happen, you know, I'm tired, I'm sick of men, or whatever the case may be, right? So, that goes deep down into your subconscious, right? And basically, that feeling is there because, especially the ones who have been in the receiving end of the breakup where they said that you're better off without me, sort of thing, right? If you're on that receiving end of that, your confidence straight away, where do you think it will be? High or low?
Low.
Very low, won't it? Right? You have a very low confidence. Your self-esteem will be very low as well. Right? So what then happens is that it plays on your subconscious. It plays on your subconscious mind. So what happens there is you'll have your conscious, it's self-limiting beliefs, right? So you're limiting your beliefs now, right? So that is what you are already aware of. For instance, you will say things like, I'm not sure I can do this. This feels outside of my comfort zone. I'm a little scared. Right, this is really freaking me out. So when it comes to trying to date again, and people are, your family and friends are edging you, so come on, it's about time you meet the right man, it's about time you meet the right girl, or whatever. Like, come on, you know, you support you and everything like that. But in the back of your mind, because of your experience that you've experienced before, and some people have experienced a breakup once, twice, 2 times, 3 times, it depends on how many times, but the more you experience it, the less confident you feel. And the older, don't forget, you're getting older as well. So you start thinking, no hope. So the conscious starts going sure. Yeah? And then what happens is that the difference between your conscious and you have your subconscious. The subconscious is basically hidden and negative. They're disempowering beliefs that you have, but you're not aware of with your conscious thinking mind. Right? They are what I call the blind spots. So those are things that you'll come out and say things like, no one will want me. So you're marrying up your conscious that you already know on this side, right? It feels out of my comfort zone. No one will want me. Why? Because you're going back to what happened to you before. Someone said, you'd be better off without me. You didn't really have closure on the end of that relationship because you still don't really know what you've done. You, as far as you're concerned, that relationship was really good. You don't know what happened. Now, those are the worst ones when you have a breakup, when you don't actually know what was the cause of the breakup. So your subconscious plays on that. No one would want me. If I try, in other words, if I go into another relationship, it's going to end up breaking up. Yeah? Or I'm not worthy. Because previously, you still don't know what you've done. So it must be something to do with you. Okay? Right. As you can see from the pictures, you have reached the rejection hotline. Right? So sometimes that's just how you feel. But it's your subconscious playing on your mind. So what we need to do is we need to reprogram the mind. This is what our NLP comes in. Right? We need to reprogram the mind so that you are getting rid of that negativity and replacing that with the positivity. Right, so NLP. First of all, is anyone here that doesn't know what NLP stands for? Okay, right. So, N stands for neuro, which basically deals with the brain and controls your mind, your thoughts, and your senses, your sight, your hearing, your touch, etc. Yeah? Linguistic refers to the language and how you use it. That's not just verbal language, it's body language as well. And programming, well, this is the information in the mind and how it is interpreted, the pattern of behaviour which you learn and repeat. Now, this is the bit where we tend to concentrate on when we're doing NLP or so on. It's the reprogramming of the mind from the negative to positive. So that programming of the mind is just getting into the back of your head, like that. Telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not worthy, you're not this, you're not that, right? That's what we need to try and get rid of, okay? Right, so, how can it help you? How do you think NLP can help you? Right, does anyone have any idea how you think NLP can help you? Not the coaches, I'm sure coaches know that.
You understand your external and internal communication and how you deal with things.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, so NLP basically is a very powerful method to reconstruct our subconscious so that instead of sabotaging, it supports us. Right? So we reconstruct that so it's not sabotaging. Okay? Next thing is, by reprogramming the brain towards changing thoughts, actions and feelings to that which we want ourselves to be. So you want to be more confident. You want to actually have a date, you find the right person so you can settle down with and grow old with, spend the rest of your life with. So you want to change it so that you get that. It helps build our self-esteem, generates confidence in our abilities and takes us on a path of success. Not necessarily just dating, that could be anything, could be in your career as well, okay? NLP techniques is a good basic primer for self-confidence and it's definitely an excellent springboard to personal development. So, let's have a look at an exercise. I'm going to need a volunteer, right? Anyone? I need a volunteer and to do this exercise. So, I'll tell you a little bit about the exercise before you volunteer, in case you volunteer and you feel, oh, you're going to be embarrassed. Right? All it is that I just need someone who can go back to a time where you have achieved a major, peak into your life, i.e., you've gone for your ideal job and you've got the job. This was your dream job, right? So anyone that's actually experienced that, or you've gone for an award or something, something that's made you feel really on top of the world, a good feeling. So can anybody volunteer for that? Oh, come on, please. Come on. Okay. What's your name? Sorry, Jenny. Jenny. Give Jenny a hand, please. Come on. Just put cream on your hands. Okay, Jenny. Right. Can you just tell everybody what was the experience? What made you feel that, that's the best feeling ever?
It was the best feeling ever, but I had an experience where I was working in my second management job, and my boss said, oh, I'm going to sell my car because they're moving it. They're going to go to Spain, and they had this 744DL Volvo that they wanted to get rid of. It was a runabout car. Anyway, they said, if you want it, Jen, you can have it. It's £1,700. And I thought, I want that, but I can't tell him I haven't got any money. And he came back to me about 2 weeks later and said, if you really want it, Jen, you can have it for £1,300. I said, I'll have it. I had about £600. And in my head, the car was mine. I saw it parked outside my house, and there was nothing that was going to stop me getting it. I had no problem. There was no problem that was going to stop me. If there was a problem in front of me, I was going to go around it, through to over it. That's how I thought. And I asked my dad for money, he said no. I asked my uncle for money, he said no. I sold my car, and I was still short by about £600. And I still kept thinking, and in the end I thought, I'll take some money out of my policy. So I had a pension. I knew that. I have a pension, and I took some money out of the pension, and I had my car. And I was just over the moon because I got it, and at one point you would have thought, there's no way you haven't got £2,000 basically, but I had it there. I saw it outside my house before I bought it, and when I bought it, it was outside my house.
Excellent. But what I want you to do now is just close your eyes for a moment, right? And still think about that experience, right? And where you felt about having that achievement, and that you really wanted something, and you actually got it. Yeah. Now, what I want you to do is find one word to sum up how you felt. Don't tell us yet. Just really think about one word to sum up how you felt that time once you've got that achievement. Okay? Right, can you tell us that word?
Successful.
Successful. Right. Okay. So, if you can put that word in a colour, what colour would successful look like to you? What colour is that? Orange? Okay, right. So, you can open your eyes. This is an exercise that anyone can use, right? Find an experience that is really empowering for you to make you feel on top of the world, so to speak, right? Then sum it up in one word. So it's successful and orange, right? Every time you see that word successful and the colour orange, helps you to bring back to that time where you really felt fantastic, really felt great, and it just brings that to the forefront, that memory to the forefront of your brain, right? So what I want you to do is, when you are, say, probably feeling a little bit low or negative or whatever, or when you are looking to go and achieve something, i.e., are you single? Yeah? I.e., going out there and having a date, just the same way as how you imagine that car was yours.
Oh, imagine it's mine. Ooh, okay.
Yeah? Yeah? Imagine that the guy that you meet or the guy that you see, that's going to be yours. Yeah? So, to encourage you to always go what you can do, and this is for anybody, what you can do is actually use like post-its, orange post-its with the word successful on it. When you're at your laptop, you've got an orange post-it on there that says successful. When you look at that, it always reminds you of that time, so you actually feel on top of the world, right? Also, before you go out, when you know you're going to go out and probably find somebody, meet somebody, chat to somebody, before you go out, have that orange post-it onto the mirror. You start doing your makeup and your hair and stuff, yeah? And just put it strategically in places where you know you're going to see it. That mirror before you leave the front door, right? Because everyone checks themselves before they leave the house. Well, I think most people do, right? So have that post-it so you all know and experience. Someone must have experienced something that made them feel really, really great. Yeah? So just sum it up in a word. Close your eyes at one point when you're at home, wherever, and really imagine that point of time so you really feel great, fantastic. It could even be that it's something to do with your children, something to do with family and friends. It doesn't necessarily have to be an achievement, but it's got something that made you feel right on top of the world. Okay? Thank you very much for your time. So that basically is what NLP helps you to do. It helps you to imagine that you've already got the thing, and it actually helps you to build your confidence, get your groove back, and make you feel you're ready. Yeah. And again, if you imagine doing that little exercise, and before you go out, and even when you're out there, you spotted somebody. Wow, he's gorgeous. You know what I mean? And you sort of like try and make your way around, and try and get yourself noticed. The thing is, once you're on the top of the world, once you are in that mindset and you're feeling like that, guess what else happens? Your body language, as I was saying with NLP, it's not just verbal, but your body language actually states it. Because you're not going to feel confident. Don't you think when you feel confident, you actually walk more taller, you walk more confident, as opposed to when you're not feeling confident and you're kind of like slowed down. So your body language makes a statement straight away, doesn't it? Do you agree with me? Hands up if you agree with me, yeah? Secondly, who else can see that body language? So remember, you want to stand out. You want that guy to notice you, or that lady to notice you, right? So once you've gone through that exercise, once your confidence is built up, once you start walking tall, knowing that you've got it, you've got your groove back, they would notice you. You would be literally like a magnet in the room. Like as Deb was saying before, a lady walks into the room that's full of guys, right? All the single guys is definitely going to notice them, yeah? But we're talking like probably a wine bar or wherever, another situation. But it's that confidence what you have that oozes out that energy, and people notice it. People notice it. So that's what you need to do, is building up that confidence. Right. So a few little tips. Gaining rapport in NLP. Gaining rapport is all about facial expression, eye contact, smiling, listening, and what we call matching and mirroring. Matching and mirroring is basically when you make someone feel quite comfortable, right, you match what they do, right? So for instance, if you're going to speak to somebody and they're sitting down there, it doesn't make them feel very comfortable. So how would you match that? You will sit down next to them. If they're crossing their legs, you will cross your legs as well. But matching is a delayed response as opposed to mirroring. Mirroring is like you cross the leg, they cross them at the same time, right? That's exactly doing the same thing. But matching is like a delayed response. So if you sat down and they've got their legs crossed, you delayed so it doesn't look too obvious. And then probably a couple of sentences later, you then cross your legs, yeah? If they're sitting back in the chair, right, then you sit down and slump down in the back of the chair. And before you know it, you're mirroring each other. It makes you feel a lot more comfortable. Okay? So using exercise 1, which I just showed you a moment ago, to gain the feeling of awesome energy and confidence, getting your groove back prior to approaching a potential date. So, the final thought basically is a quote from Lady Ruth, which is a yoga teacher, as you can see there. Right, I'll just read that. You must approach life like riding the subway. When you realise that you're going the wrong way, you don't just sit in your seat. Instead, you get up, get off the train, get to the opposite track, and get onto the one heading the other way. Right? Too much times where people stay into the same habits of doing the same thing, going to the same places, going to the same bars, and that going round and round in circles, and expecting a different result. You need to be looking at changing the environment, changing where you're going, and to actually get a different result. Because, you know, like if you go, if anyone have a local that they go to? You know, local pub? Anyone? No? No pub goers. That's good. That's good. I don't have a local that I go to pub. Was that a hand at the back there that I see? Yeah, someone has a local, right. But basically what I mean by having a local, right, is that if you go to a local, it's going to be the same people. Would you agree? Right? The majority of the people in there is going to be the same people that you see. Kind of, it's almost going to be like a family, because everybody knows everybody. Would you agree with me, yeah? Yeah. Okay. So, how are you going, if you know that so-and-so is married to so-and-so and blah, blah, whatever, they're on taken or whatever the case may be,